Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, Here There Be Stories. In today's video, I'm going to be doing my recent readathon wrap-up. So this wrap-up is for the Battle of the Bands April readathon. This is our yearly readathon that is hosted by Jake, the Bookish Drummer, and Stacy from the Chapter Conundrum. I am one of the co-captains, and my team came in second place for this round. It is super fun. We had a really good time. Let's jump right into all of the books. I read a total of 12 books for this readathon. I am going to go over the prompt and the book that I read for that prompt. First one is Read a Captain Childhood Favorite. I read one of my childhood favorites, Secret of Shadow Ranch by Carolyn Keene. Now, I was disappointed in this. I gave this a 3-star rating. The writing style is not for me at all. Everything is so telly. Everything that happens to Nancy is so convenient. I read all of the Nancy Drew books growing up. I read all of the classics, and then I jumped into all of the newer ones that were coming out. Nancy Drew is just nostalgic for me. You know, I think I just love the game. I love the PC game, Secret of Shadow Ranch. So that is what I recommend. My next 2 books that I've read, book number 2, book number 3, read a book that has morally great characters, and read a book that was gifted to you. So for these 2 prompts, I read Vicious and Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. Vicious is one of my favorite stories, so this one automatically, it gets 5 stars. I usually do a re-listen of this like once a year. Vicious is like X-Men. If you like X-Men, you're gonna like this. Our 2 main characters, Victor and Eli, they are friends, but not really. They're like college roommates. They're at this university, and they're brilliant. So really is a story about the sociopaths. And it's like, okay, who is more sociopathic than the other? They start playing around with death. In the story, there are people who are known to be extraordinaries, who have died and have come back to life, like near-death experiences. After they die, they come back with some type of magical superpower, if you will. They become extraordinary themselves, which was the whole point, and then everything ensues from there. They become friends to enemies. Now, this is going to be a spoiler, but for all of the animal lovers, particularly dog lovers like myself, whenever a dog is mentioned, very first thought we all have is the dog gonna die? There is a dog that pops up in the story. The dog dies, but the dog comes back. The story is really a good time. Now, Vengeful, on the other hand, the plot is not that engaging compared to book number 1. This feels like a mafia movie. Like, it's like X-Men smashed with mafia. I will say one of my favorite characters in Vengeful, her name is June. She's one of my favorite characters because of her ability. Think of X-Men's Mystique's ability with a twist. Like, that extra flavor made it just like, oh, that's good. It's 4 stars for most of it. Yeah, for me, it's like flirting between 3.5 to 4 stars for Vengeful. Next up was read a book set in a prison. For this, I read The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. So this series is actually really special to my heart because me and my best friend Rena, this was like the series that started our friendship. This was our first buddy read ever, and we both loved it years ago when we first read it. Book 1 is 5 stars. It's so good, and it ends on a cliffhanger. Now, this is a YA fantasy. The first book doesn't feel, it's YA, but it doesn't feel like it. The other 2 books, in terms of the romance, and it starts to, and like in the plot descriptions, it starts to dwindle down. It's like, yeah, this feels YA. But book number 1 is so good, y'all. It's so stinking good. One of my favorite things about this story is it has one of my favorite characters. A little boy in here named Tip, and he is a very important part of our main character's life. I mean, I would adopt him. He has my entire heart. This boy is the sweetest. As far as I'm concerned, he is my adoptive son. Next up, read a book that has a night word in the title. So for this one, I read The Moonlight Market by Joanne Harris. I gave this one a 3.5 stars. This was like the premise sounds so intriguing. This was a new release. This is very reminiscent of The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern in the way of the storytelling. Like it is narrated to you, so you're not in anyone's POV. And it's narrated to you like a fairy tale. It is very fairy tale-esque. It's set in London. Our main character, Tom, he's a photographer, and he has this magic camera. And this magic camera, whatever he takes pictures of, it captures what is unseen to the naked eye. Different forms of currency in this world. This is like magical realism, okay? So there's a place called the Moonlight Market, and in this place, there's different forms of currency. Memories is one form of currency. And in that way, it kind of reminded me of Caraval, where if you've read Caraval, another fantastic. Book 1 is the best in that series. The only part of the book I liked because it gave me Caraval vibes. The Moonlight Market. I'm like, yes, please. I would be there in a heartbeat. Memories. Tom is a part of this like ongoing war, and memories have to do with him. Like he's exchanging memories. He's not remembering what he's doing. So he's kind of reliving. He kind of like his intuition, his subconscious is like telling him like something's familiar, but he can't remember why it's familiar. And he's caught up in this like fairy kind of world with like the night folk and the day folk, and they're represented as butterflies versus moths. I gave it it was okay. Like I enjoyed it, but it was just like, I enjoyed it for what it was. I actually like The Starless Sea a lot more. The only reason this didn't get a higher rating is because it was very repetitive. The beginning was really good. When it got halfway, it started to repeat itself. The fairy tale part of it, I think, like, it's just the structure didn't work for me. And the way it ended didn't really work for me either, but the beginning I really enjoyed. But I am gonna say, if you like The Starless Sea, I would recommend this and give it a try. Next is Read a Book That You Committed To, and for this one I read Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This was the one we have all been waiting for. This was the new release. This is the backstory of Haymitch. I was waiting for this, like, I was like, I can't wait to get this in my hot little hands. Actually, this was one of the most read books for the readathon as well, because like everyone wanted this book. Are you kidding? The story of Haymitch. I always wanted his story, so I was like, Haymitch, I'm so excited. But first off, the writing style, her writing style did not change, and I was hoping it would, because I am not a fan of Suzanne Collins' writing style. When I reread when I did a re-listen of the Hunger Games, I was like, I'm not digging this at all. This is a dystopian YA story. Like, even in a dystopian story, you can still have writing that is emotionally driven. And it's just, again, it's that writing style of being very matter of fact, very telly. It's not really showing you what's happening. If the writing isn't showing you what's happening, and you're not getting those descriptions of like of the movie, of capturing the scene, you don't really feel the emotion behind it. All of these like crazy things were happening, but it's just like someone in like monotone, just like reading it off a script. There's no oomph, there's no showing me. It's just like, okay, this is a crazy thing. It should have more of a punch, more of an impact. Just hearing it is like, oh my God. But it's just like hearing anything else that's supposed to be hard hitting. You don't feel it unless you're like in it, and you don't feel in it. You're just being told. We have a lot of our beloved characters in this. Like, if I'm gonna reference the movies because I love the movies. I recommend the films over the books. Edie is in this. Wyrus and Mags is in this. Effie makes an appearance in this. So you know and Plutarch is in this. So you know how you're introduced of how Haymitch how long he's known these people, how they were involved in his first games. I ended up giving this, I'll start with a star rating. I ended up giving this like a 3 to 3.5 stars. I'm leaning towards a 3. This is more of a 3-star for me just because of the writing style. If it wasn't for the writing style, it would have gotten a lot higher. Only reason I could even like this is because of the films. I kept seeing our actors in the movies and the films it, like for the characters in the books. Like Haymitch doesn't feel like Haymitch on the page. So I had to picture Woody Harrelson. I'm like, Woody as a teenager. That's the only way I could get on with this. If I did not see the films, or if the films didn't exist, I would have DNF'd it. I would not have been able to stick it out. I am gonna say the one thing I really loved about this story, the entire time, Haymitch is literally foreshadowing Katniss. They mirror each other in nearly every single way. And I wrote, it's like they were always meant to be tied together, and it was shown in detail. Like that was the part that was like really detailed, and I loved that part. I said they were literally just versions of each other, and I honestly feel like they are twin flames, where they're sharing the same soul in different lives. That is how much they mirror and reflect each other. And I said that's why they challenge, annoy, they defend, and they protect, and they fight each other. And another favorite part of the story is there is a scene, it's funny. It's like the only funny, it's the only bit of levity in the story is a scene with Effie's sister before we get introduced to Effie. It has to do with someone licking a toad. Okay, we got a toad licking situation. Next up was the prompt, read a book that has mystical elements or indigenous rep. For this one, I read Call Down the Moon by PC Cast. This one I gave 3 stars. This is a magical YA realism, and the reason it disappointed me the most is because it was very young YA. It feels on like the real, not middle grade, but just like right above middle grade level. We have a magic school that's based on like the moon signs. Our main characters, they're friends. It's like a friends to lovers trope. Our main characters is coming into her power. Never thought she had power, now she does. And it's like, we have typical YA tropes, but it's literally the writing style that just I didn't get on with. But I gave it 3 stars because of the premise alone. Sounded, I mean, like moons, the whole magical moon school. Yes, it wasn't exactly my cup of tea. Next up is the prompt, read a book of our main character pursuing a dream or fulfilling their destiny. For this one, I read The Black Witch by Laurie Forrest. This is book 1 in the Black Witch Chronicles. I loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars. This is like borderline 5 stars. So I'm kind of like, there's just one little ingredient that needed to be sprinkled in for it to get a 5 star. This was the most surprising book of the readathon for me because this is more political, and I usually don't get on well with political stories, but I was surprised. So we have our main character, Ellerin. She is the granddaughter of the last prophesized Black Witch, and the Black Witch was this influential character during the Realm War, which is obviously was a huge war that changed everything. Trope again, like she's devoid of power in a society that prizes magical ability, and she wants to become an apothecary. So she ends up getting into this magic university, and this magic university has a whole bunch of creatures. So the politics in this world is the politics that are surrounding like the creatures and their history, the lore, you know, and some are like warring against another. So that's like the political aspect of the story with all of these creatures. First half of the book is kind of like, okay, this is good, but after this, like in the second half is when things start to pick up, and it like the story kind of changes. I have a new favorite character from this story. Her name is Diana. She is the she-wolf after my own heart. I loved her so much. She reminds me a lot of different parts of myself. I was like, if you've read this, you know Diana is literally the best. Next up was read a book with beautiful prose or lush descriptions. And for this, I read one of my favorites, The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. This gets a 5 stars always. You know, I re-listen to this story a lot throughout the year just because it's so beautifully written. Okay, like I love beautiful prose. I love just like that poetic writing that makes you feel emotion. It uplifts my soul. It makes my soul feel alive. This book is so intricately layered. Our author, she did an amazing job. It is so layered. Like, you have to read this over and over just to get all of the hidden meanings. There's a Gothic estate called the House of Dreams. It's very lush, poetic writing. It makes you feel like you're reading a fantasy, okay? This is not a fantasy. It makes you feel like you're reading a fantasy. Survival, love and lies, dark romance, a haunting atmosphere, reality versus fantasy with our characters. It is so good. This is a trauma story, so this is a beautifully written story with trauma being like the main portion. But it's so beautifully written. It's almost like, it's like, wow, like you don't even feel it until like the end. But like, you feel it, you know it's there, but the way it's written makes it so palatable and makes it like you feel it, like you feel the fantasy escapism, and it's kind of trippy, like it's trippy on the mind, and that alone makes that's just the mind trip that kind of gives you is just, it's spot on. Next up was read a book with characters coming together from different walks of life. And for this one, I read The Heartless Hunter by Kristen Cicerelli. This was my second surprise. I had two surprises. This was the second one. I gave this 4 stars. And the reason I was surprised is, again, it started off political. I was like, it took me a while to get into it. Like the first, not the like first quarter, I'm not gonna say the first half, but around there, it was like, okay, I'm like, I have to get into this. But then I did, and I loved it. This is like political romance. You have the witch and the witch hunter, like forbidden lies, betrayal. There's all kinds of stuff happening in this. Like I said, the second half of the book finds its footing, and once it does when it finds its footing, it really just it just hooks you. There is some spice in this, but it's a low level spice. It's just a little bit more than fade to black. There's one moment, one scene in this, so it is like you can fast forward and skip it. Not a big deal. Next up was read a book that has a lost loved one. And for this, I read Divergent by Veronica Roth. This I gave 4 stars. It was like leaning 3.5 to 4 stars. The overall premise is a 4-star. I love the idea of it. Let me clarify. It's a 4-star in my own narration. This is one of those situations where I don't like the narrator. I don't like the story being told to me. I like reading it myself. And the writing style as well. It's better than the Hunger Games like style, but it's similar. And it's also, it felt really YA. And I was like, I don't remember it feeling this YA before, but it does. I honestly think that this story, the writing could have been more matured. But this is the typical dystopian story, very similar to the Hunger Games, where they're split up into factions, just like districts. These are factions. And when the kids reach 16, they take a test, and that test decides which faction they are supposed to go into, and it basically determines the rest of their life of where they're supposed to be. Test is like set up in a way, it's like a simulation, and your decisions that you make in the simulation decide which faction you go into. And lastly, read a book with a character helping someone they love. And for this one, I read The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. This was another reread for me. I had read this years ago, so it had been a good while. This one is a 4-star read. This is the story of Nannerl, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Mozart, the sister of Wolfgang Mozart. She is gifted like her brother, and this takes place in 18th century Europe. So it's like a magical realism. In 18th century Europe, women are not allowed to do things. Women are treated a certain way, okay? And she has a gift like her brother with music, and she wants to be remembered just like her brother. And because she's a female, it's not an option for her. Her and Wolfgang are close, and the Kingdom of Back is a fantasy world that they create, and then all of a sudden one of the characters they create in this world shows up. They both see him. He is like this magical boy fae creature, and doing what the fae typically do, there's always a price. Offers her things. There's a price to pay. So as they are traveling and performing together as like these child prodigies, they are also going through this whole nother life in this fantasy world. I don't remember the author's note, but I do recommend if you read the story, listen to the audiobook, read the author's note, because that is where all the historical elements and the facts come in that she included in this story. And it was very, very interesting. Very interesting. Just hearing about the sister of Mozart and her life and her gifts, and that it's quite possible that some of the music that we hear from that we have heard from Wolfgang, she might be a part of that. Some might even be hers that she composed, and it was just under his name. Like, there's a lot that we don't know about that, but just that whole aspect of getting into her perspective and her life was just, it really made the story. What do you think of all of these books? Did you take part in the readathon? Let me know in the comments down below if you have read any of these. If you like this video, give me that thumbs up, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming bookish content. And as always, happy reading, and I shall see you in the next video. Cheers.